DIY number one, we're going to make some custom farmhouse date blocks. So I got this wall decor from Dollar General. It was 50% off. I think I paid 50 cents. I was going to hang it on my wall, but I didn't like the way it hung because you had to turn your head sideways to read it. So we're going to cut the string and we're going to fill that hole in with some Dollar Tree spackle. It's been so long since I've uploaded a video, and I'm going to catch you guys up at the end of this video, I promise. Now, I got these date blocks. I had them in my kitchen for the longest when I did the coffee theme, and I got them from the Dollar Tree. So I decided we're going to cut this mug off the top, and we're just going to keep the bottom. So we're just going to score it a few times with my handy-dandy razor blade knife here, and it'll eventually snap off. And I am going to paint the bottom in Waverly Snow White just to give it a good base. And then you'll see here later on, I do end up painting it, I believe it's Plaster that matches the color of the rolling pin. And I went over this with a sponge brush. I went over it several times with a paintbrush. I needed coat after coat to get really good coverage on this. So while I have a little bit of time painting these coats, I'm going to catch you up a little bit here. So you guys all know, my subscribers know what happened with the whole gallbladder thing and the G-tube, and after that, I was fine for a few months, and then I kept getting sick, and I went to the doctor, and he told me it was pneumonia. He treated me 4 times for pneumonia, and I wasn't getting any better. Long story short, I did a no-call, no-show one day to work, and that is very unlike me. I've never done that. And my boss came to check on me, and my lips were blue. I was on the floor. I couldn't breathe, and I got rushed to the ER. So while I was in there having gallbladder surgery, I developed what is called DVT. And I developed a very large blood clot in my left lung. So I was in the hospital and out of commission for 6 weeks dealing with that. And it was a hard blow to my family after the whole G-tube and gallbladders and stones in my liver and me going septic. It was just a really hard blow to my family. But I'm back. I'm better than ever. And hopefully I'm not going to be getting sick here for a long time. So right here, I was trying to decide what color date blocks looked the best with this rolling pin and, black. It was all right, but I think the white really popped for me, and I ended up going with the white date blocks. Here, this Hazelnut by Waverly matched the ends of the color of the rolling pin to a T. I couldn't have asked for a better match. I didn't have to blend any colors. It was a perfect match. Also, I want to point out, on the ends where it says meals and memories are made here, that little middle part, you can see the MDF, like there's no paint above it. So we're going to take the plaster and we're going to blend that in and make it look like a finished piece. I do paint the back as well, because if it falls over or somebody's looking at the back, you want it to look like a finished piece. And I always do this with all of my projects, as you know. So we're just making it look like it's solid all the way through. As I'm playing around and I put the rolling pin on top of the piece that holds the date blocks, I realize, oh crap, this is like Snow White and the rolling pin is Plaster. So we're going to have to paint this housing in a plaster color for it to be cohesive, so it's all matching. And I was trying to figure out, do I put the date blocks on top of the rolling pin? Do I put them under the rolling pin? And you'll see here in a minute when I get my wood glue out and my trusty old clamp, what I decided going with. But the end of this project, it's sitting on top of my stove as we speak right now. I absolutely love it, and you'd be surprised how many people ask where I got it. And I'm like, oh, I made that. See this right here? I cut this and they're like amazed. And it's literally the cheapest DIY I think I've ever made. Minus the paint, it cost me $1.75. And it looks phenomenal on top of my stove. I do want to give my loyal subscribers a shout out for sticking with me through my trials and tribulations. And I promise I'm going to have a lot more videos to upload because while I was sick, yes, I was doing DIYs. And I'm like, I'm going to have so much content. I am going to blow the socks off my subscribers. So I'm speeding through this because I know you guys don't want to see it drag out. So I squeezed 4 DIY videos into, I think, 16 minutes, which is roughly 4 minutes apiece. That's not bad. Here we go with the wood glue, and I put it on top. And this is what it looks like. It came out phenomenal. I couldn't be happier. DIY number 2, we're going to do some Patriotic distressed book stacks here. And I couldn't be happier with the way these turned out. These are the blocks that the Dollar Tree is now carrying. They are the 5x7 pieces of wood. And you already know, we're going to do red, white, and blue. And I went with all chalk paint. I didn't choose any acrylics. I did go with crimson, Snow White, I do believe, and Ocean by Waverly. And these came out amazing. Wait till you see here. One thing I do want to mention is a lot of these blocks from the Dollar Tree are bowed. So you want to make sure you get ones that are going to lay flat. One of these books was bowed, but if I flipped it over, it went in perfectly. So, just pay attention on which way you stack your pieces of wood from the Dollar Tree. And of course, I have to sand every piece of wood I get my hand on. And a quick mention here, everything that I use, all the materials, all the tools, will be listed in my description box below. There will be links. I finally got my links back. I'm building, my link tree back up. So there will be links if you need links to purchase whatever you see that you like. Here's how all 3 blocks turned out after they were painted and dried. And I'm going to give them a really heavy distressing. I am going to start out with an 80 grit piece of sandpaper. And then we're going to finish it off with the 400 grit, as you see here. 81st, 402nd. And I went in with the sanding when I tell you. And this is what they look like after I distressed them. Now, I couldn't decide whether I was going to use Waverly's Antiquing Wax or I was going to use Tim Holtz's Distressed Oxide and the color Walnut. I did go with the Antiquing Wax just to make them look aged, and I didn't want to see that raw wood underneath. So any place that was distressed, I put it on a little heavier. I did make a decal on my Cricut that says America established 1776 with the stars in the middle. And I'm just slapping them on here. And of course, we're going to go over with Mod Podge later to make sure they're really adhered. Now, this is funny. I'm showing you all my bloopers in this book stack. So I got this burlap from the Dollar Tree, and I decided I'm going to cut a strip and fray it a little bit and tie it around the book stack. But as you can see, the more I frayed, the more it went down on an angle, and it just wasn't working for me. So I make a bow to go on top of this book stack, and that wasn't doing it for me either. So I wound up getting the thicker twine out from Walmart and wrapping it around the book stack. And I'm like, okay, I like this, but it's missing something. What is it missing? And as you can see, I put too much twine on one spot, so the book stack wasn't laying flat. It was like lopsided. So I had to rewrap it and figure out how I was going to get this to look level. And nope, that bow wasn't doing it. So I'm burning off all the extra hairs on my twine, and I decided to go with a twine bow. So I just finger wrapped it, tied it in the middle, stuck a couple buttons in the middle, and she came out beautiful. Take a look what she looks like now. Isn't that gorgeous? DIY number 3. We're going to do Land of the Free because of the Brave house. Now, I got these houses at Walmart. They were on a heavy clearance. They were like originally $10 or something, and I got them for $1. And I bought like every one that was on the shelf. I cleared the shelf. So I'm going to break these babies out and decide what house I'm going to use. I go with the shorter one. I give it a coat of Waverly white chalk paint. I cut the words out on my Cricut, and I just do a simple little bow. I don't even remember what I used for the bow on top. I really don't. But it looks cute as heck sitting on my craft table downstairs. And you'll see here in a second, this was the quickest DIY, I swear. And it literally cost me 50 cents and some vinyl I already had and some paint I already had. That's right. I used the blue and jute twine from the Dollar Tree's like C uh section. But it looked awesome when it was done. DIY number 4. We're gonna do some decoupage patriotic star banner. And I did pick this up at Hobby Lobby. It was $4.49 and it was 40% off. So it was like probably $2.50, $3, something around there. And I seen this and I knew immediately what I was going to do with it, because on the shelf beneath it were some napkins, and I thought these napkins were so cool. So half the pack is stripes and half of the pack is stars. And I'm like, oh, I see it. I envision it in my brain, and this is hanging in my living room as we speak right now. And it was so quick. So there's 6 stars. We're going to do 3 stripes every other one, and 3 of the blue and white star napkin every other one. And when I tell you that this came out amazing, I couldn't be happier. So, of course, I'm going to give it a coat of Snow White because that makes your napkin pop when you're decoupaging. And then after we do the paint, we're going to do the Mod Podge and let it dry. And then as that's drying, we're going to peel apart our napkins. We're going to take the second ply off. And when that's dry from the Mod Podge, we're going to go ahead and lay the napkin over the star, making sure it's the way you want it. You don't want your stripes going up and down, you know? You don't want them vertical, you want them horizontal. So pay attention to what way you lay your napkin on this banner. Take a piece of wax paper, go over it with an iron or your mini heat press. You will get no bubbles, no wrinkles, no nothing. This is a foolproof way to decoupage a napkin. I wouldn't do it any other way besides this way, honestly. And then I go over them with some more Mod Podge. I let them air dry because when you use a heat gun, after you go over something, it tends to bubble up. So I would suggest letting it air dry. And this is how they came out hanging on my wall. Aren't they adorable? Guys, like, comment, share, subscribe. Everything you need to know is in the description box below. And thank you so much for staying loyal to my channel. I can't thank you enough. And it's not like I have thousands and thousands of subscribers yet. I'm still building, you know, my subscriber base. And I'm still building up my content. But I have been through the ringer this past year. And I just want to say thank you for sticking with me and waiting for this next video to drop. Remember, you're the real MVP. There isn't anything you can't do that you put your mind to. You're beautiful, you're strong, you're intelligent, and you're just the best. You rock.